Listening to English conversations is one of the best ways to improve our language skills. Every time we hear real-life dialogues, we pick up new vocabulary and get a better sense of how the language is used naturally in everyday situations. In today's episode, we're diving into the emotions that hold us back and the strength it takes to move forward. Exploring fear of failure, people, and the future. Jessica and David open up about real-life experiences and what courage truly means in a world full of uncertainty. Let's start.
Hey, David. I've been thinking a lot lately about fear. Not the obvious, dramatic kind, but the quiet fear, the kind that lingers in the background and shapes your choices without you even realizing it.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like this silent force that guides your actions or stops them. What kind of fear have you been noticing most?
Honestly, the fear of failure. I've been wanting to start my own side project, maybe something creative like writing or launching a little online store. But every time I get close to starting, I freeze. I imagine everything that could go wrong.
That hits home. I used to be paralyzed by that exact fear. I remember wanting to apply for a scholarship during my last year of university, something I was actually qualified for, but I didn't. I convinced myself I'd never get it and that rejection would just confirm I wasn't good enough.
Yes, that's exactly it. I always tell myself, if I fail, it'll mean I'm not smart enough or talented enough, so I don't even try. I sabotage myself before the world even gets the chance to say no.
It's so strange, isn't it? That we'd rather hold on to the illusion of potential than risk finding out we're not as good as we hope.
Exactly. Like, as long as I don't try, I can still pretend I might be amazing.
But the price we pay is stagnation. Staying in that in-between space feels safe, but it's actually a slow kind of suffering.
Yeah, it's a weird comfort zone. You don't bro there, but you also don't fall. You just wait.
Can I tell you something I've been learning? Failure isn't the monster we think it is. It sucks, sure, but it also teaches you so much. Every time I've failed, it's opened a door I didn't even know was there.
That's encouraging. But how do you start? Like, how do you actually act when the fear feels stronger than the desire?
For me, I've started treating fear like a passenger. It's coming with me whether I like it or not, so I let it ride, but it doesn't get to drive. I acknowledge it, but I don't give it control.
Wow, that's such a powerful way to think about it. I usually try to get rid of fear before doing something scary, but maybe that's not the goal.
Exactly. Waiting to feel brave is like waiting for perfect weather. You'll be stuck inside forever. Courage is doing it while you're scared, while your heart is racing, while the doubt is screaming.
So, courage isn't about silence. It's about action through the noise.
Yes, it's about moving anyway. I remember the first time I spoke at a small event. I was shaking. I forgot half my speech, my voice cracked, but I did it. And after I realized the fear wasn't fatal, I survived.
And I bet that moment stuck with you more than a perfect one would have.
Absolutely. It reminded me that the worst case scenario usually isn't that bad. Even when we fail, we learn, we adapt, and sometimes we even laugh about it later.
I think I needed to hear that today. I've been putting off submitting a piece of writing to this online magazine. I wrote it months ago, but never hit send. Every time I open the draft, I feel my chest tighten.
What's the worst that could happen if you sent it?
They don't like it, they ignore it, or worse, they read it and hate it.
Okay, fair. That's scary. But what's the best that could happen?
Someone connects with it, maybe it even gets published, or maybe I just prove to myself that I can be seen.
Now that sounds worth the risk.
You're right. I've been so focused on avoiding embarrassment that I forgot there's also the possibility of success, or at least pride.
Even rejection can be a win. It means you tried, you showed up, and that's a step forward most people never take.
Have you ever completely bombed something and still been glad you did it?
Oh, yeah. I once pitched a project at work that flopped so hard I wanted to hide under my desk. But the feedback I got, it shaped the next thing I did, and that one worked. I would have never gotten there without that failure.
That's inspiring. Maybe we need to normalize failure more, celebrate the attempts.
Absolutely. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it.
I love that. I really do. I think I'm going to open that email draft tonight and finally send it, even if I'm scared.
Do it. Send it scared. That's the real win.
Thanks, David. You always have this way of making fear feel less controlling.
It's because I've wrestled with it for so long. I've learned not to fight it, just to keep walking with it. Fear walks beside us, but courage leads.
That's beautiful and hopeful. Maybe fear is just a sign that something matters.
Exactly. It means you're alive, you're reaching, you're growing. That discomfort, that's where transformation begins.
You know, Jessica, while we're on the subject of fear, there's one that took me a long time to even recognize in myself: fear of being judged by others. It used to control so much of my life.
Oh my God, yes, that's a huge one for me too. Honestly, I think fear of failure and fear of judgment are like best friends. One keeps you from trying, and the other makes you scared of what people will think if you do try.
Exactly. And what's tricky is that judgment can be silent. People don't even have to say anything. You just imagine the looks, the whispers, the opinions. Sometimes the fear is built entirely in your head.
Totally. Like sometimes I'll be about to post something online, maybe a photo or a thought, and then suddenly my brain goes, what if someone thinks this is stupid? Or who do you think you are to say this? And I just delete it.
I used to do this same thing, especially when I started writing publicly. Every blog post felt like I was standing naked in a crowd. I'd picture people I went to school with reading it and rolling their eyes. That imaginary audience held me hostage for years.
That's such a good way to put it, imaginary audience. I do that too. I replay things I say in conversations thinking, did I sound too emotional? Was I annoying? Even with friends, it's exhausting.
It really is. And what makes it worse is how unpredictable judgment is. People might love what you say, or they might hate it, or they might not care at all. You never know, so you try to control it, but you can't.
Right. And then you just shrink. You stay small so you can stay safe. You say the right things, act the right way, dress appropriately. It's like living in a costume.
It becomes a kind of performance, doesn't it? You're constantly managing your image, and you start to lose touch with who you really are because you're so focused on being acceptable to others.
Yes, that hits deep. I think about how many times I've quieted my personality just to fit in. Like I'll hold back a joke or I won't speak up in meetings because I don't want to risk sounding stupid.
I used to do that in meetings too. I'd sit with ideas bubbling inside me and never say a word. And then someone else would say something similar and people would praise it. I'd kick myself for staying silent.
That happens to me all the time. And afterward, I'm filled with regret, but in the moment, I'm frozen. It's like my brain says, don't stand out. Don't take that risk. Just blend in.
That voice in your head wants to protect you, but it doesn't realize it's holding you back. The fear of judgment is usually just a younger version of us trying to stay safe.
That makes sense. We probably learned that fear when we were kids. Maybe we were laughed at or told to be quiet or stop being weird. And now our adult selves are still reacting to that same script.
Exactly. It's like emotional muscle memory. We flinch before there's even a threat. But the truth is, most people aren't judging us nearly as harshly as we think.
That's such an important reminder. Because when I see someone speaking confidently or dressing boldly or just being themselves, I don't think, ugh, who do they think they are? I usually think, wow, I wish I could do that.
Yes, we admire in others what we suppress in ourselves. That's why the people who trigger us often represent parts of us we've been taught to hide.
So, how do you deal with it now? The fear of judgment, I mean.
I try to remind myself that judgment is inevitable. Someone somewhere is going to misunderstand me. That's just part of being visible. But I'd rather be judged for being real than accepted for being fake.
That's brave. I want that kind of freedom to show up fully and not care what people say.
It takes practice. I started small, wearing clothes I actually liked, even if they felt too much. Saying my real opinion in safe spaces. Letting my writing reflect my personality, not just what I thought people wanted to hear.
That's so cool. I think I could start there too. Maybe I'll wear that bright jacket I always avoid, or I'll share that poem I've been hiding for months.
Do it. Not for the applause, just for the feeling of being you.
And if people don't like it,
Then they don't like it. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means they're not your people. The right ones will get it, and get you.
that's reassuring. I've been so hungry for universal approval, but it's impossible. Even the most beloved people have critics.
Exactly. Think about artists, leaders, creators. None of them are universally loved, but they kept going. They focused on the message, not the audience.
So I guess courage here means showing up authentically, even when you feel exposed.
Yes, it's about saying, this is who I am, and letting go of who you're supposed to be. That kind of courage ripples. It gives others permission to do the same.
You know, I always thought being liked meant I was safe, but maybe it's more dangerous to be liked for something you're not.
That's powerful. Being liked for a mask is lonely. Being seen for your truth, even by a few, is real connection.
Thank you, David. I really needed this. I've been so stuck in my own head lately. This makes me feel braver, like maybe I don't have to hide as much.
You don't. The world doesn't need a quieter version of you. It needs your voice, your quirks, your honesty. That's your power.
And I guess the more I show up, the less afraid I'll be.
Exactly. Exposure builds resilience. Every time you stand in your truth, the fear loses a little of its grip.
All right, then. I think I'll post that poem tonight, even if I get 0 likes.
That's the spirit. Post it for you, not for the likes. That's how freedom starts.
There's one last kind of fear I've been wrestling with lately, maybe the biggest one. It's the fear of the future. Not something specific, just this constant hum of anxiety about what's coming, what might happen, what might not happen.
That's a big one. Probably one of the most universal fears out there. The future is this wide, open, blurry space. And because we can't control it, we try to predict it, contain it, even fear it. I've definitely lost sleep over what ifs and maybes.
Exactly. Like, I'll sit there and think, what if everything I'm doing now leads nowhere? Or what if I make the wrong choice and end up stuck or unhappy? It's paralyzing sometimes. I overanalyze every decision, as if the entire future depends on it.
I've done that too. I used to think that every choice had a right and wrong answer, like life was a quiz I had to pass. But I've learned that most decisions just take you somewhere different, not necessarily better or worse. The fear comes from believing there's only one correct path.
Wow, that's exactly what it feels like. One wrong step and boom, disaster. But maybe that's not how it works.
It's really not. Life isn't linear. It's a mess of loops and detours. And even if you end up somewhere you didn't plan, you learn something there. You grow. Sometimes the most unexpected turns end up being the most meaningful.
That gives me hope. But still, the uncertainty is scary, especially when things feel unstable. The job market, relationships, health, the world. Sometimes I just want someone to hand me a map and say, this way, it'll all work out.
Same. But unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, life doesn't come with guarantees. The best we can do is learn to walk through the fog. You might not see the destination clearly, but if you focus on taking just one good step at a time, the path unfolds.
I love that image, walking through fog. You don't need to see the whole road, just the next step.
Exactly. And courage is what helps you take that step even when everything feels unclear. It's not about knowing where you're going, it's about choosing to move anyway.
So, how do you stay hopeful when you genuinely don't know if things will turn out okay?
That's a tough one. For me, hope comes from evidence. I look back at all the hard times I've made it through, all the days I thought I couldn't do it, but I did. That reminds me that I'm capable, that no matter what comes, I'll figure it out.
That's such a good strategy, using your past as proof. I don't do that enough. I usually focus on everything that might go wrong instead of everything I've already survived.
It's like your brain is trained to protect you. It scans for danger, but you can teach it to scan for resilience too, to notice your strength, to remember how far you've come.
Sometimes I forget that I've already handled things I once thought I couldn't. Breakups, loss, major life changes. And I'm still here.
That's power, quiet power. It doesn't always feel like courage in the moment, but it is. You didn't run away, you showed up for yourself. That's something to be proud of.
Thanks for reminding me of that. I think I spend so much time fearing what's ahead, I forget to appreciate the strength it took to get here.
And that strength doesn't disappear. It stays with you. It grows. It's like a muscle. Every time you move forward despite fear, that muscle gets stronger. Every time you face uncertainty and keep going, you build resilience.
That makes me think, maybe fear of the future isn't something to avoid. Maybe it's a sign that I care deeply about what's coming.
I love that. Fear as a sign of value. If you didn't care, you wouldn't worry. So the fear isn't weakness, it's evidence that the future matters to you, that you want to build something meaningful.
And that means courage isn't about being fearless. It's about loving something enough to move forward anyway.
Yes, courage is choosing movement over paralysis. It's saying, I don't know what's coming, but I trust myself to face it.
That trust is hard sometimes. I think I doubt myself more than I doubt the future.
Me too. Self-trust is one of the hardest things to build, but it starts with keeping small promises to yourself, doing the things you said you'd do, showing up. Over time, that trust grows.
So maybe instead of fearing the future, I can focus on showing up today, doing my best with what I have, even if it's imperfect.
That's it. Control the controllables. The rest will unfold as it needs to.
You've given me so much perspective today. I feel calmer, like I don't have to outrun the future. I just have to walk toward it, one choice at a time.
That's the most any of us can do. Life will surprise you, challenge you, reward you. And even if the road twists and turns, you'll find your way. Just don't stop walking.
And if I get scared?
Then pause, breathe, and remember, you're not alone. Everyone is walking their own uncertain path. Some are just quieter about it. But you're stronger than you think.
Thank you, David. Seriously. Talking to you always makes me feel like I can breathe again.
Anytime. These conversations help me too. They remind me that fear isn't something to fight, it's something to understand. And once we understand it, we can walk with it.
Yeah. Side by side. Not in control, but not hidden either.
Exactly. Walk with fear, but let courage lead.
I think I'm going to write that down.
Do it. And when the future feels heavy, read it back to yourself. You've got this.
Thanks, David, for everything.
Always, Jessica.
And now, that's the end of this episode. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. See you next time.